Hi everyone, I'm Councillor Jack Ferguson, Basildon Council's Cabinet Member for Culture, Sport and Community. And I'm delighted to be here at the Towngate Theatre today to tell you about the Basildon Volunteer Awards that are taking place and to encourage you to make your nominations. Do you know somebody who gives up their free time for a worthy cause? The Basildon Volunteer Awards recognises the amazing achievements and contributions of our borough's volunteers. Volunteers really are the backbone of our community, transforming lives, creating lasting change and making a real difference. The Basildon Borough Volunteer Awards are our opportunity to shine a light on these incredible individuals and our community groups and say thank you. This year, there are 7 categories to be won. This is a fantastic opportunity to recognise and thank those who believe in Basildon. It could be somebody who cares for a loved one, runs a community group, or volunteers in a charity shop. We want to hear from you about the special people that are making a real difference across our borough. It's quick and easy to submit your nominations, so please click on the link and get nominating. You have until Friday the 17th of January to record your nominations, and winners will be announced right here at the Towngate Theatre at a very special awards ceremony on the 4th of March. And I look forward to meeting all the nominees soon. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. This is Cllr Gavin Callaghan, the leader of Basildon Borough Council. I hope that you are all well and welcome along to this week's live update, where there is lots and lots of things going on here at Basildon Council, and I'm looking forward to answering some of the questions that you've been posting to me throughout the week. And also feel free to pop your comments and questions into the comment section as we go, and we will try and answer them as we get going. Just a reminder that as we begin 2025 and as we get into things like the budget setting and we get into some of the meat around what the council is going to be doing in 2025, I just want to make it really clear that we are sticking to the 5 priorities, our plan for 2025 that we announced here on Facebook Live last week. We are, as a council, going to work to fix the bins, to regenerate our town centres, to build more homes for local Basildon people, to make our communities safer, and to back Basildon businesses. And over the course of the next few weeks, as we get towards the budget setting, you're going to come to understand a bit more about how we're going to spend money and what we're going to be prioritising in order to achieve those things. It is, we're back into that really busy time of year now, where there are meetings coming up constantly. There were meetings here at the council all week last week, and again just last night. And coming up next week, we've got, well, actually coming up tomorrow, I should say, we've got a big meeting. We've got the full council meeting. And so tomorrow we're going to be debating the Noakbridge Parish Council Neighbourhood Plan. So the Noakbridge Parish Councillors have been putting that plan together for many years, and that is coming to council for agreement to go out for that consultation, the Regulation 18 consultation. So if councillors are so minded tomorrow, then we will give permission for that to progress to the next stage. That's been a monumental effort from Noakbridge Parish Council to get that Parish Council neighbourhood plan to the council for consultation. So well done to all of those parish councillors involved there. I am very much supportive of it, so I'm looking forward to that debate tomorrow night. We're also, as I mentioned last week, we're going to be debating whether or not Basildon Council should move to all-out elections from May 2028. Now, whether Basildon Council will still exist in May 2028 is another matter, but we undertook a boundary review as a council this time last year. So as you remember, we had an all-out election in May. All 42 members were elected. And one of the recommendations that the Boundary Commission for England made to Basildon Council a year ago was that we should consider going to all-out elections. So we don't elect every single year or in thirds as we currently do, but we have all 42 members up for election all at the same time at the end of a 4-year term, when they've had the opportunity to serve for 4 years and to deliver on the manifesto and the promises that they have made. Now, that option was never put to council. It was never put to the public or to our stakeholders in consultation. So I believe it should be. And tomorrow we will be debating as a full council whether or not we should be doing that and putting that all-out election before the public. So we will do that tomorrow night as well. You can tune in on the council's Facebook page and on the council's YouTube page from 7:30 tomorrow night for that one. Next week, next Thursday, 23rd of January, we have the next meeting of the Cabinet, and we've got lots of things on the agenda for the Cabinet, one of which is the budget, which I'll talk about in a moment. But one of the other really interesting items that is on the agenda is around the council's AI strategy. We've never had an AI strategy as a council, but we are bringing forward our draft AI strategy and resident engagement plan, and that has been a labour of love for Councillor Mariam Yacoub, the Cabinet Member for Digital Futures and Data, who has been working on that AI strategy for a number of months with our officers and with some experts from Microsoft and some of those other big tech companies who work with the public sector. So that AI strategy is all about how we're looking to make Basildon Council quicker and smarter in its responses, in the way it operates, in the services that it provides. And that is quite exciting in terms of the transformation, the digital transformation for Basildon Council. It's not really got off the ground here for whatever reason over the last sort of 5 to 10 years. But that AI strategy, I think, is a bit of a game changer. So we'll be debating that next week. And again, that one starts at 7 o'clock next Thursday, the 23rd of January. And you are more than welcome to tune in. Or if you are so minded, you can come to the council chamber and sit behind me here while we have those debates. I will talk about the budget because that is important, but I'll do that in a moment because I want to give a bit of an update on devolution. Because since we had our last Facebook Live last week, the County Council has met in Chelmsford last Friday. That received a lot of coverage for various reasons. But in that meeting, the County Council voted on whether or not to submit to government a proposal for Essex to be part of what is known as the Devolution Priority Programme. And if the government decides that Essex is going to be on the Devolution Priority Programme, then that means that we will be moving forward with the election of a mayor, a directly elected mayor for Essex, and we will be moving forward with the reorganisation of councils. So as I've said before, we have 15 councils across Essex, all doing different things, all accountable for different things. And the plan is to make local government a lot more simple, a lot more efficient, a lot more effective, and a lot more accountable to the public. And the idea would be to reduce that from 15 councils down to 5 councils as part of local government reorganisation. And what has been mooted, no, it's controversial, what has been mooted is whether or not to postpone elections in 2025 in order to give councillors the breathing space to be able to start making some of those decisions and to start that work on local government reorganisation. So as things stand at the moment, we don't know whether or not Essex is part of the Devolution Priority Programme. We are waiting to hear from the Secretary of State as to whether or not we are. But if we are, then that is a really exciting programme. Many of you who followed my political career for the last 15 years will know I have been a massive advocate for local government reorganisation. I think the way that this works with the two-tier system is a nonsense, and I think it needs to change. And when I go out on the doors and I speak to residents, you tell me you are fed up with paying your council tax to Basildon, 80% of it going to County Hall, the potholes never being filled in, the youth services being cut, adult social care being a mess, SEND being diabolical in our schools, and I, as the leader of the council, can't do anything about it. And I think that's wrong, and that's why we are trying to make the changes that we are looking to make. So we'll wait to see, we'll wait to hear whether or not that happens in terms of devolution. And if it does, then I'll come back on here and update you. But what I would say on this, just as a point of principle, I know that the postponement of elections is never a good thing. It's never something that any political party or government wants to do. But it is a monumental waste of money to be electing people for 1-year terms or for 2-year terms to councils that are not going to exist. So, I think if you ask me, should we spend £2 or £3 million on electing councillors for 12-month terms? or should we put £2 or £3 million into children's services or into SEND or into youth services? For me, that's a no-brainer. We should be putting it into frontline services. So I understand that it's controversial. I understand that people are making a song and dance about it. There is also an option if you are so vexed about it and you do think it is terrible and you do think that the public should have their say on elections for 12-month periods, those councillors can always resign their seats and trigger by-elections. So we are all waiting with bated breath as to whether or not our colleagues from the Reform Party are going to do that and trigger those by-elections, and then we can see whether or not the public are minded to support them. I'm not going to hold my breath on that one. Next, let's talk about the budget. So it's been released today. So at 5 o'clock this evening, the draft budget went into the public domain because it will be debated next week at Cabinet. And we should begin by saying that I never ever like to raise council tax. This will be the fourth budget that I have set in my time as leader of Basildon Council. And it will be only the second time that I've raised the council tax. I have frozen it in previous years. But in the last few years, the government previous under Rishi Sunak, when he was both Chancellor and Prime Minister, they severely limited what councils could do in terms of commercial acquisitions, commercial activity. Now, I understand that to some extent because our Conservative colleagues in Thurrock gambled with solar farms and other commercial activities that was irresponsible. But most councils were quite sensible in what they were doing with that commercial activity. And the last time I was the leader here, doing some of the commercial asset acquisitions that we did, we were raising around £3 million a year in additional income for the council. Now, that meant I was able to freeze the council tax. This year, because we do not have the revenue raising ability anymore, the burden, the onus is on raising council tax. So the challenge that I set to our officers is if we are going to raise the council tax, then we better be delivering services as a result of that. So yes, the council tax in Basildon will rise by around 3%, just under 3%. But in the budget, what we have said we are going to do is to deliver on the biggest promise that we made. So from April, the start of the new financial year, Basildon Council will return to weekly black sack collections. They will be collected through the black wheelie bins, and we will have weekly recycling collections, getting rid of those blue and white sacks and replacing them with blue and white bags. So within 12 months of returning to office, we will have delivered on that promise. Now, you will recall that this time last year, my colleagues in the Conservative Party were telling us that it could not be done, that Gavin Callaghan was lying to the public. There was no possible way that we would be able to deliver on our promise to return to weekly black bin collections and to change the recycling sacks. This budget that is released today proves that we can, and we have delivered on that promise. So yes, whilst there is some bad news around the council tax, and I accept that, the good news is that you're getting more services as a result of that increase in council tax. One of the other things that I think is important to note is around what we have managed to protect in the budget, because there's no doubt it's a difficult financial situation for the council. We have a gap of around 5 million, just over £5 million that we've had to fill this year. But we've managed to protect all of our leisure centres. We've managed to protect all of our community centres. We've protected all of our activity centres. So all of those things have been protected. There will be no cuts to any of those services, any of those centres. Our parks as well, they have been protected. So we've managed to ensure that we've kept the wolf from the door, that we're balancing the budget in a different way, using AI, using technology, which I mentioned earlier on, is going to be very important to how we reshape some of our corporate services here at the council going forward. But I've mentioned before in these updates, the council runs several different budgets. So we have a revenue budget, we have a capital budget, and then we have the housing revenue account, which is the council house budget, and the money that is generated through rents from our council house tenants and also from some of our stakeholders and businesses. What's really important to understand is I know when I came back in May, it was obvious to me that the previous cabinet member for housing had lost control of the service. It was obvious to me that housing was in a really, really difficult place. We saw the temporary accommodation costs soaring. and we did not see any plans to acquire new housing stock. We also saw that Morgan Sindall were falling well behind in terms of the number of repairs that they needed to undertake on our behalf. So as a result of that, after the elections in May, we put Morgan Sindall into a performance improvement plan, and we got to work on acquiring 500 new properties for temporary accommodation in order to reduce the amount of money that we are spending on temporary accommodation. I set the target in May that we would halve the amount of money being spent on temporary accommodation in the next financial year. And actually, what we're on course to do is reduce that by 2/3. So we're actually moving faster on that than we had planned. Now, I'll talk about temporary accommodation in a moment, because our friends from Reform have had some interesting ideas in the last week. But what's critical in terms of the repairs is that we have also put into the budget £16 million for additional money on repairs to our housing stock. So over and above what we are already spending on repairs, we have found an additional £16 million to put into repairs to get these homes back up to standard. So a new initiative, Building Better Basildon Homes, that is going to be launched as part of this budget. And we're going to be making sure that Morgan Sindall get to work much quicker on getting these repairs and these jobs done. And we're putting our money where our mouth is as a council in order to make that happen. Aligned to all of that is a plan within the budget. So over the course of 5 years, because you set a 5-year forecast, we're also setting plans to build 300 brand new council homes. So they will be being built, as you can see, at Chapelgate, which is across the road from the council near the BP garage. There are 70 brand new council homes being built right now on that site. And we have plans for another 230 homes across the borough to be built. So again, even though there's some doom and gloom, there is also a lot of good news in this budget in terms of what we're doing for the repairs budget to get that back up to standard so that people are not having to wait. But we're also putting more money into building council homes as well. As we build up to the 13th of February, where the final budget will be set, I'll use these Facebook Lives to give you a bit more of an update into exactly what is happening and what we are spending on, and some of those announcements as and when they start. A few events, a few dates for your diary. I mentioned last week we have a winter welfare event coming up on Monday, the 20th of January, in the Baz Centre as well. So if you are available between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m., you can pop into the Baz Centre, and our officers will be on hand to provide you with any help and support that you may need, advice around finances, around mental health, around support during these winter months where I know it can be more challenging for residents and for people. So that help is here, so please do utilise it. The Warm Homes Guarantee is still there. There is still funding available for pensioner households who want to heat their homes and who are struggling with their energy bills. So if you know any of those pensioner households, if they're your neighbours, if they're your friends or your family, and you think they may be in need of some additional support to put their heating on in the coming months, then that Warm Home Guarantee funding is available here. You can go online and you can fill out the form there, or you can ring the council's phone line here, and our officers will help you to fill out that form and get the application into the right place for you to be able to access some funding and some help with the Warm Homes Guarantee. You may have seen just before the video launched here, the Facebook Live launched here, we had a video about the volunteer awards. So you can nominate any outstanding volunteers that you know from across our community. You have till next Friday, the 17th of January, to get those nominations in. Really great opportunity if it's the coach of a local football team or a local dance club, all the way through to people volunteering in charities and in other organisations. We want to celebrate our volunteers. We've got the Volunteer Awards taking place on Tuesday, the 4th of March at the Towngate Theatre. It's always a great night to get your nominations in. If you know anybody who you think might be eligible for that, we'll put the links to all of these in the comment section so that you're able to get your nominations in. If you're in Basildon on Monday night, I've got my next Meet the Leader event here in the council chamber. So I'll be here on Monday evening from 7 p.m. until 9 p.m. And if you want to come and ask me any questions you like about anything that the council is up to and what the council is doing, then I'm available to answer those questions. So please do sign up. There is a link to sign up. So make sure you've done that, and you can come along and you can ask me any questions that you like, and we can have a good discussion about what we're doing. If you are aged between 16 and 19, you are either in college education or in sixth form education, and you're living at home with your parent or carer that is in receipt of universal credit, then we've got £360 of bursary to give away to you to help with the cost of travel to school, pay for the bus, to pay for the train, to pay for your food or your books or any equipment that you might need for your education. So the Education Essentials bursary is still live and still open. So if you have a child or a grandchild, or you know anybody that may be struggling to pay the bus fare, to pay the train fare in order to get to college, to get to sixth form, and you think that they are eligible, then get them to sign up now to fill out the application form for the Education Essentials bursary, because there's 15 quid a week that we are offering people to help them get what they need to stay in education and fulfill their talent. So that is another a grant that's available, another bursary that's available for people to take on. Councillor Ben Westwick, Councillor Jill Palmer, and Councillor Chris Hilliard have got their community litter pick coming up in Pitsea South East on Saturday, the 1st of February at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That's going to be taking place on Kenneth Road in Pitsea. So if you live in Pitsea and you want to go along and lend us support, you can bring your kids along, you can get out and about and do something positive for your local community. Then Councillor Westwick has all the details on his Facebook page. So do Councillor Hilliard and Councillor Palmer. So you can go along to that litter pick and you can meet those guys as well. The Pitsea Northwest councillors have got a street surgery coming up as well. So if you want to come along to that, then take a look at Councillor Mike Baker, Councillor Pat Reed, Councillor Emma Callaghan's Facebook page for details of their street surgeries. If you're a St Martin's resident, if you're in my ward, then on Saturday morning between 9 and 12, the St Martin's councillors, we will be out in your area around the Gillgrove estate. So if you live in and around Gillgrove and you've got any questions for us as your councillors that you want to talk to us about, then we will be out and about around Gillgrove on Saturday morning as well. So feel free to come along and to say hello. Morgan Sindall, I mentioned earlier on, they've got their drop-in sessions taking place. So on Thursday at 10 a.m. To 3 p.m. every Thursday here at the Baz Centre, you can come along and speak to Morgan Sindall directly. They've also got a session taking place on Saturday at 10 a.m. here in the Baz Centre as well. So if you work during the week and you can't get along to the Thursday session, then there is a session on Saturday morning from 10 a.m. Until midday here at the Baz Centre. I am talking to Morgan Sindall about whether we can do some evening surgery, some evening drop-in sessions as well for people that perhaps work at the weekends as well and can't get along on a Saturday. But I want you to have the opportunity, if you are a council house tenant, if you need to speak to Morgan Sindall directly, you don't want to sit on the phone or exchange emails, but you want to come down and speak to a representative from Morgan Sindall to try and get your issue resolved. We are trying to make the guys at Morgan Sindall available to do that every single week now here in Basildon as part of that improvement plan and as part of trying to get those repairs done more quickly. So please do take advantage of that. The local plan consultation, the first hurdle, the first phase of the local plan consultation ended on Sunday. We had a phenomenal response to that. So over 23,500 people went on to the platform. They had a look at what the council is planning to do. And then we had around 2,500 respondents to the consultation, people putting their views forward, letting us know what they think. A big thank you to everybody who has taken the time to do that. Housing is critically important. We want homes to be built for local people. We want first-time buyers. We have 10,000 20 to 34-year-olds living at home with mum and dad in this borough. We desperately need homes for those people, as well as those people who are on our waiting list. The good news is that last week in this very chamber, councillors passed an application for 250 new homes in Billericay, of which 125 of them will be classed as affordable homes, which means that Basildon Council or a housing association will be able to buy those 125 homes and then use them to help people who are on the council house waiting list get into a home as well. So there's a further 125 properties available for local Basildon families there. And then in addition, we have some first time buyer housing on that scheme as well, where there are discounts of up to 30% on the market price of those homes for first time buyers. So again, if you are a young person in Billericay, waking up, looking at what the council is doing, then you understand that we've got your back. I think it's really, really important that people now have the same access to housing, the same opportunities that their parents and that their grandparents had. That hasn't been the case for a long time in Basildon, and we are determined to do something about that. So that was really clear as well in the consultation, that people want to see homes for local people, but homes for their children and their grandchildren as well. So that local plan is now moving ahead. There'll be a further consultation coming out in a couple of weeks' time. That is to do with the new changes to the National Planning Policy Framework, and also some other bits and pieces that we have to do around Basildon Town Centre, and some of the master plan work that we're doing. So look out for that. And then in the autumn, there will be the next phase of the local plan consultation. And again, people will be able to then start getting into the specifics of which sites within the town, within the call for sites, within the full plan, which ones are actually going to go forward. So we'll get into more detail in the autumn. But a big thank you to everybody, including our housing officers, who went out and did all of those live in-person events across all 5 towns of the borough. It was a great exercise in engagement and consultation. So thank you to everybody who took part. We are in the process of consulting on the Westgate as well. So if you have views about what the Westgate should be and what we should do with it, then that consultation is running until the 31st of January. Yesterday, we had a drop-in session in the Westgate. I went along to it in the afternoon. We had about 50 people throughout the day turn up, including some local businesses who work in the town, who wanted to come and ask questions about what the plans are. I can tell you that consultation really does work, because even in the short space of time, the last 24 hours, based on the feedback and what we've been hearing from the public, we immediately went and sat down with the architects to say, actually, what they're suggesting is a really good idea. We need to start looking at incorporating some of this in the plan and making some changes. And the architects began sketching out those changes and making them. So it proves that the council is running these consultation events. We're listening to what people are saying, and then we're going forward and putting that into the plan. The full plans will go to the planning committee in May for the first phase of the Westgate, and then the next phase will go to the planning committee in the winter of this year as well. So by the time I'm sat here in January 2026, I know some of you will dread the thought of me still being here in a year's time, but I plan to be. By the time I am, we will have virtually all of the Westgate shopping centre through planning, and then under demolition and under construction, and moving forward with the regeneration. So that's a really good thing. You can have your say on what you want to see in all of the phases of the Westgate by going on to the consultation as well. Coming up in a couple of weeks' time, we've got the Creative Tech Fest in Basildon. So loads of different events across the borough taking place as part of the Creative Tech Fest. So more information is available on the council's website and on Facebook about that. So do take a look at it. We've also got lots of events coming up around Basildon Business. So Basildon Business Boosts, free events for you if you run a business, if you've got questions about how you are going to manage your finances, any extra support that you might need. All of these courses are available through the Basildon Business Boost. So do take advantage of that if you're a business owner, and get into that network locally of our Basildon business leaders, so that you're able to hear more about what is going on as well. We are going to put a big emphasis in 2025 as part of backing Basildon businesses into skills. So the pathway program that we run here at the Basildon Centre for people who are looking to change up their careers, get improved CVs, get the skills they need, find out where they can retrain, find out where they can access courses, etc. We're going to have on Tuesday the 23rd, so next Tuesday, there's going to be a drop-in session downstairs in the entrance to the Baz Centre for people who want to come along and look at a new employability program as well. So more details will be shared on that over the coming few weeks. So it's particularly looking at people who perhaps struggle with mental health, with anxiety or depression, how you might be able to get the support you need to re-enter the workplace and to retrain and get some skills that you need. We've also got a health and social care jobs fair coming up at the end of the month. So we know that we desperately in this borough need nurses and we need social care workers. So that might be a career change that you've never thought about, but you might be interested in. So those that career fair for health and social care jobs taking place in the Baz Centre at the end of the month, 31st of January. That might be something that you are interested in, and tickets are available for that. So follow the link on the council's website to do that. Then on the 6th of February, we've got an apprenticeships fair as well. So perhaps you have thought about taking on an apprenticeship, or perhaps you know your son or your daughter, your grandson, your granddaughter, they might be looking at an apprenticeship. That might be a good route into a lifetime of work for your young family members, or anybody really who's looking to retrain and take on an apprenticeship. That is on the 6th of February here at the Bath Centre from 2:30 to 4:30, and you need to register on Eventbrite for that. And again, we will share the link with you. The Museum of the Moon. This is really cool. I think I've said to you before, my daughter is obsessed with the moon. We have to look at it every single night. And if we can't see it, then she goes mad. But the Museum of the Moon is taking place in St. Martin's Church. And it is there from the 5th to the 22nd of February. So Creative Basildon have brought this to the town. So please do take a look at it. We'll be sharing more about it, but this is going to be really cool to have this in Basildon. So come along to that at St Martin's Church between the 5th and the 22nd of February. We have the 500th anniversary of Basildon Park Run. I'm assuming that means we have the 500th Basildon Park Run taking place on Saturday, the 25th of January. So if you'd like to get involved in that, then knock yourselves out. I will not be joining you. But perhaps Councillor Jack Ferguson, the Cabinet Member for Sport, will be there for the 500th Park Run in Basildon. So have fun with that. The garden waste collection is now up and running again. So if you have paid for your garden waste to be collected, then that service has resumed. So get your green bins out and we will start to do that. And similarly, both this week and next week, if you have a real Christmas tree, then please leave that real Christmas tree outside near where you normally place your rubbish, and we will come along and take away that real Christmas tree for you. So that's the remainder of this week and then next week in order for you to get your real Christmas tree collected by Basildon Council. Let's just pause there and have a look at some of the questions that may have come in whilst I have been jabbering away. There's a few here. Kelly has asked if we could have a look into the Pitsy tip slots. This is a perpetual frustration of mine since they've introduced the slot, the 15-minute slots. It's definitely reduced the number of people that are able to go and use the dump over at Pitsy. And it's something that I know we are talking about. This is run by Essex County Council as opposed to being run by Basildon Council. So it's not something that we have direct control over yet, till we are a unitary authority and we abolish Essex County Council. But I will raise this with Councillor Aidan McGurran, and so he can have a conversation to see if more slots can be open. Obviously, as the weather gets better and it becomes lighter earlier and later on into the evening, there might be more opportunity for more slots to be opened up as well. But we will look into that. In terms of when we will get the new council tax letters, that will happen in March. So the council will set the council tax on the 13th of February, and then we will get those letters out to people so you can see exactly what your money is being spent on and what the priorities are for the coming year. In terms of looking at the homelessness grant, the homelessness banding, the question that we've had there on that, that is definitely something that we're looking at. We are desperately looking at our stock and trying to increase our stock. I've mentioned there that we are looking at building 300 ourselves as a council, but also when developers are now building, they are having to put 50% affordable homes into their schemes. And as part of that, for us, that is about whether or not we can take the nomination rights, we can take on the renting of those properties so that our housing stock, people on our housing stock will be able to get the homes that they need. But we're also going to look at the people that are on the housing waiting list at the moment through our jobs fair. So I mentioned there the health and social care jobs fair. Is there things that we can do to help people to increase their salaries, increase their incomes so that they're able to access the private rented market quicker and sooner as well. So that is all work that is underway that we're doing. I know if you're on the waiting list at the moment, you don't want to hear that. You want to hear, when am I getting the keys? When am I moving in? But again, I think, we've acquired since May, we've acquired just under 300, sorry, just over 300 new homes for the housing stock. We plan to put a further 100 on there. We know we've got about 3,000 that we need. So we are working our way through this. But as I said, the housing department was in a real mess before we came back in May. And between the new officers that are leading that department and the new cabinet member, Kerry Smith, that's leading it, we're starting to get this into a fit shape now. So I know it's frustrating, but in the coming weeks and months, hopefully we'll be able to get more stock up and running and to get people moving through the banding quicker, which will be able to help. I've had a question about James McMurdoch and the figures that he is using. James McMurdoch is wrong in what he is alleging, and I note that this evening he's put a public statement out about those numbers. They have fallen from his public statement on Friday, which said that there were over 100 people. That statement has now fallen down to 37 people, and the reality is that we, over the course of that period of time, we have had well in excess of over 1,000 families present in temporary accommodation. You don't need me to tell you that we cannot, as a council, magic up housing. There is a crisis because we haven't built enough homes over the course of the last 20, 30 years in Basildon and across the country. Because we are a district council, we're not a unitary council, we have not got the same access to housing that, for example, our partners next door in Thurrock have got. And our predecessors, in their infinite wisdom, the Conservatives who led Basildon Council for the last 3 years, did not acquire one single new house to help with the temporary accommodation crisis in that 3 years. So we are playing catch up at the moment. But to go from a situation where you have over 1,000 families that are in temporary accommodation, and we have had 36 that have been in a temporary accommodation for longer than 6 weeks, that is never acceptable. And I've been clear that I want more to be done, and more is being done to help people get out of those conditions quickly. But we have a phenomenal success rate given what is happening in the private sector housing market in Basildon right now. So, I've been on Facebook Live since May the 23rd. I have been in the council chamber. I think every single cabinet meeting that I have had in Basildon since I've been back as leader, we have taken reports on temporary accommodation to keep people updated. I've been down to visit the people who are living in temporary accommodation multiple times. I've held surgeries in the communal area, the common living area at the hostels to talk to people and to work with people to see what more we can be doing to help and to support them. Given that we are seeing a lot of London boroughs discharging their temporary accommodation out into Essex, it won't surprise you to learn that they don't discharge those people into Brentwood or into Rochford or into the more affluent parts of the borough or of the county of Essex, because that costs more money. Housing in Basildon is cheaper than it is in Thurrock, than it is in Brentwood, than it is in Rochford. And that is why we have a greater pressure on our housing stock. Now, I have asked James McMurdoch since Friday continuously to come on to BBC Essex and to debate me about this so that we can get the facts out there and that we can have a proper discussion. I have heard nothing. So if James McMurdoch or any of his disciples are watching this and you want to have a debate with me and we can talk about the facts and about what is really happening, rather than, as you are doing, using these people as political footballs, then my door is open. I will make myself available to come and have that debate. But let's be clear, and I'm just reading one of the comments here. 37 incidences of over 6 weeks versus over 1,000 cases, where in over 97% of those cases they have been dealt with inside 6 weeks. That is not high level figures, and I think we should be careful about using that kind of language in some of this as well. Danielle asked me, will the new built homes go to Basildon born people? So I think I get asked this more than anything else from residents in Basildon. And I'm pleased to tell you the answer to that is yes. So we have in Basildon something called the Basildon First Charter, which I introduced back in 2021. It is still in operation. Every single planning committee that comes, every single application, every single consent that is granted at the planning committee in this very chamber is subject to the Basildon First Charter. Now that means that any new development, any new build, any new house, if you are going to sell it or rent it, you have to sell it or rent it to somebody from the Basildon Borough exclusively. You have to market that for sale or for rent exclusively to people in the Basildon Borough for the first 3 months that these go onto the market. Now, if you consider that most housing developments sell their homes off plan, so the minute they get a consent, the minute they produce their glossy brochures, the minute they say these homes are now up for sale, those people start putting deposits down almost on a daily basis. They have their open house showrooms, and they say come along on this day, and then virtually all of the homes get sold off plan within the first 3 months that they are marketed, and they have to exclusively be sold to people in Basildon. Now, that is not always the case. Of course, some homes come online after the 3 month period, or they haven't been sold within 3 months, and therefore anybody is eligible to apply. But if I think I live on one of the new housing estates in Basildon, and if I look at my road where we've got 10 houses, 8 of the people living in those houses are people that have come from the Basildon Borough. Only 2 of those houses have gone to people who've come from outside the Basildon Borough. So it is proof that the Basildon First Charter does work, and that the overwhelming majority of those people go to people who are here in Basildon, living in Basildon, and making a contribution to the Basildon economy. So I think that is really, really important. I know that our friends in Reform want everybody to believe that every new home that is being built is for an asylum seeker, and every temporary accommodation unit that is being built is for an asylum seeker. That is against the law. The law says that you cannot claim temporary accommodation if you are an asylum seeker. So again, we as a council, and I as a leader of the council, will be dispelling a lot of these myths that are out there, and I'll continue to champion the fact that here in our borough we have the Basildon First Charter that offers protections for people here in Basildon. There are more questions coming in, so please do keep them coming in. I've had some questions coming as well in regards to the Westgate, and I've given that update on the Westgate consultation. What I would say is I think I've consistently said that part of the reason why in Basildon we are taking control of our assets, so why we bought the Westgate, is because we don't just want to see tower blocks of housing being built in our town centre, and we want to have more say and more control. And I was talking to a business owner just yesterday at the Westgate consultation, and we both agreed that one of the things that we absolutely desperately need is a really strong retail offer. And so I want to see the big high street retailers coming back into Basildon Town Centre. I want to see all of the developments that we are building. I want to see along the bottom where people are walking around. We need some really, really good people that are coming in, that are paying their rent, which would be nice, and also making sure that we've got a high-end retail offer like many other high streets do. Now, there's no reason why that can't happen. If we increase the footfall, we increase the number of people coming into Basildon Town Centre, then the retailers will come. And I was really, really pleased to see. You may remember that previously the council under the Conservatives cancelled Christmas, and this year both myself, Councillor Jessica Power, who is the cabinet member for the economy, we were really keen that we were going to bring Christmas back. We had the big Christmas light switch on and firework display in Basildon, and we had thousands of people. I mean, I don't want to do a Donald Trump inauguration on it, but we had thousands of people turn up for the Christmas light switch on, and we saw a really, really good December of trade for our traders here in Basildon. And I was just hearing today that the Eastgate Shopping Centre, for example, on the 21st of December, had over 41,000 people go through that shopping centre on the 21st of December, which is routinely the busiest Christmas shopping day of the year. Now, if you consider that on the same day in Bluewater, there was 140,000 people going through, to have here in Basildon 41,000 go through on the same day, it tells you that if you have a strong retail offer in Basildon, people will come. I'm really, really enthused by that, because it means that when we talk to these investors and we talk to these developers and we say, go out and get the big retailers back into Basildon, we've got an evidence base now to prove that when the council invests, like we did with the Christmas light switch on, like we're going to do again this year, you start to generate the interest, you start to generate the footfall. And once that regeneration really gets going, I think retail is going to go gangbusters here in Basildon once again, which is going to be really, really positive. I'm aware I've been talking at you for 45 minutes. Do keep your questions coming in. I have to go and chair an informal cabinet meeting now, so I'm going to have to end our Facebook Live session there. But I am going to be back this Sunday. So we're going to be changing up the times of these. So we're going to be doing these on weekends now, when hopefully more people have more time to come and ask questions. So I'll be available around 8 p.m. on Sunday evenings to answer questions, and to do that starting this Sunday, the 26th of what is it? January. I'm forgetting already. So do come along. But remember, when it comes to Basildon Council and 2025, my pledge to you is we are going to do 5 things, and our budget is going to reflect the 5 things that we are going to do. We are fixing the bins. We are regenerating our town centres. We are building local homes for local Basildon people. We are going to make these communities that we live, work and raise our children in safer. And we are going to back Basildon businesses throughout 2025. Thank you all so much for coming along this evening to listen to this live update. I will be back, as I say, on Sunday. So make sure you tune in then. And from next week, I will be available on Sundays going forward as well. If you have any questions, any comments, any ideas, any things that you wish to raise with me, please do put them in the comment section here. And if you have any casework, please do email leader@basildon.gov.uk, and we will work to get you an answer as quickly as possible. But whatever you are doing for the rest of the evening, I hope you have a good one, and I'll see you all again soon. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Councillor Jack Ferguson, Basildon Council's Cabinet Member for Culture, Sport and Community. And I'm delighted to be here at the Towngate Theatre today to tell you about the Basildon Volunteer Awards that are taking place, and to encourage you to make your nominations. Do you know somebody who gives up their free time for a worthy cause? The Basildon Volunteer Awards recognises the amazing achievements and contributions of our borough's volunteers. Volunteers really are the backbone of our community, transforming lives, creating lasting change and making a real difference. The Basildon Borough Volunteer Awards are our opportunity to shine a light on these incredible individuals and our community groups and say thank you. This year, there are 7 categories to be won. This is a fantastic opportunity to recognise and thank those who believe in Basildon. It could be somebody who cares for a loved one, runs a community group, or volunteers in a charity shop. We want to hear from you about the special people that are making a real difference across our borough. It's quick and easy to submit your nominations, so please click on the link and get nominating. You have until Friday the 17th of January to record your nominations, and winners will be announced right here at the Towngate Theatre at a very special award ceremony on the 4th of March. And I look forward to meeting all the nominees soon. Thank you.